Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
New information tonight on a developing story. The body pulled early today from the Red River is a 36-year-old woman from Fargo. The woman was dead at the scene and discovered by a group fishing. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Well, Fargo police say they knew of the woman and are currently working on notifying her family. Police add that they're still in the early stages of this investigation. Valley News Team's Ashley Bishop spoke with family and people, who found the body and has much more.
Started washing my hands, and then there was a body just right there in front of me.
It was along this rocky riverbank where 3 people were fishing when the woman's body floated by them.
And I saw what looked to be a pillow or a bag floating down, and then next thing I know, he's washing his hands, and oh my gosh, there's a body.
Brother came over to confirm what I saw because I couldn't believe it either.
They were only 10 minutes into fishing when they made their gruesome discovery. Evett says he and his family members were trying to relax after losing his brother-in-law earlier this week in a semi-crash near Niagara, North Dakota.
I didn't want to do that. I was already pretty shocked, and my brother died, so didn't want to deal with it right now.
Evett says he came to this spot just 2 days prior.
Me and my twin brother came down here to fish again, and we saw some articles of clothing in a backpack which was already open, and we kind of looked for some ID to try to see whose it was and return it.
But they didn't find an ID and left the backpack there. When they returned, they say the pack was still there and think it's connected to the case. Investigators say they are looking into it. In Fargo, Ashley Bishop, Valley News Live.
And Fargo police also add it's too early to tell if foul play was involved, and they plan to provide more information tomorrow.
The investigation continues into the cause of yesterday's train derailment near Heimdall, North Dakota. The National Transportation Safety Board has already found evidence of what could have caused 6 oil cars on the BNSF train to derail and catch fire. The NTSB confirms that they're looking into broken wheel fragments, tanker cars, and rails as part of its investigation. The wheel fragments could be a key piece in determining the cause.
There are pieces, so there's a collection of them that's going on now. My main concern was to get my hands on them, bring them up here, and protect them from the environment, rusting, that sort of thing, so we can get a good laboratory look at them in Washington, D.C.
Southworth adds that the investigation could take up to 2 weeks.
That train derailment's just another accident in a string of issues the oil industry and transportation industry is facing. These accidents are happening all over the country, unfortunately becoming a more common scene along rail lines. Take a look at this map. Oil is only extracted in a few parts of our country, but according to the route shown here in the red lines, it's sent almost everywhere, and that could put neighboring towns at risk. Last week, the Obama administration released new standards for the oil transportation industry. The plan does give oil producers time to update their train cars.
For the first time in 135 days, the average price of gasoline in North Dakota has increased to $2.50 a gallon. The last time the statewide average was that price or higher was December 23rd of 2014. Now, the average has increased steadily since reaching a low of $1.98 a gallon on February 1st of this year. Despite the increase, gas is still more than $1 lower than this time last year. In Fargo, the lowest gas sells currently for $2.24 a gallon. In Grand Forks, it's $2.42 a gallon.
You're the best. Most often, that's something that many parents say or think when it comes to their kids.
But a recent study shows kids who are overvalued can become narcissistic later in life, a trait that can lead to violence. In tonight's Healthier Me, Valley News Team's Macy Enger has some warning signs for parents.
At the playground, in the classroom, or just hanging out with the family, kids have a habit of wanting attention.
I want this, I want that. It's always the I, and that's a natural instinct as a child.
She's usually very thoughtful of others in the first place, but that's just raising her that way.
Stanford's head of child and adolescent behavior says that's the key to raising compassionate children.
Teach towards what you want, not towards what you don't want.
A point that moms and dads should be aware of. After a recent study looked at 7 to 11-year-olds and found kids who were told they're better than others tended to have narcissistic traits down the road.
Making sure in your parenting that you're not putting other people down at the expense of raising up your own child.
But it's not just parenting. Children learn by example.
Showing your children that you make other people's well-being a priority. You know, really being cognizant of yourself as, am I doing good things?
In the age of Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat, it's easy to take a selfie, and another, until your page is full of your own accomplishments. And experts say that should alert parents there's a problem.
It's not looking at that bigger picture of what did I do in my community and what did my team do together, you know. So we have to be always cautious.
There's a balance when it comes to encouraging your kids.
Yes, of course, praise your children, of course, but not to the point that they're doing it better than anybody else.
And parents handle it different ways.
Well, I think it's important for children to learn about other cultures and learn about what's going on in the world.
She has to be responsible, and she has to know why should I ask her to do something?
But experts say it's a simple concept.
Show them sharing, caring.
That could be taught in day-to-day life. Eating with the family, flying a kite, or even taking turns going down the slide. In Fargo, Macy Inger, Valley News Live.
Now, if parents felt their kids had issues with their behavior and wanted to reach out for more advice, experts suggest talking with your family doctor, or you can contact Sanford Behavioral Health. We have attached a link on our website. Just go to valleynewslive.com and click on this story.
Some students say Grand Forks and UND police are being heavy-handed in their efforts to stop any out-of-control parties this weekend. This Saturday marks what would be the annual Springfest events before finals. But this year, the unsanctioned beer blast for UND students was shut down by the city and university. Police have gone door to door and even sent out letters reminding people in the University Park area of city ordinances regarding loud parties and underage drinking.
The basic goal here is to prevent a party of hundreds of people gathering in the park.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in the past few years, we've seen many parties where there have been hundreds of students. You know, there's parties where students are on the roof, they're crawling out of windows, glass is breaking.
Now, one student did email us saying in part that it irritates them this much was done in such a dictator-like manner. Police say that they'll simply be enforcing the laws given to them by the city.
Trail King Industries CEO Bruce Yackley says millennials have no work ethic, and that's why we can't keep workers. Yackley spoke in Fargo today, so we took his message and asked others if there's an issue with the millennial generation not making them fit for the workplace. Some told us the age group is too entitled, while others praise it for being innovative and embracing new ideas. Regardless, millennials are the largest part of the workforce now, and in Fargo, companies can't afford to exclude them.
And with the labor shortage in the market, I think that companies have to be open and willing to be adaptable if they want to have a fully staffed workforce in a successful company.
Staffing professionals say the solution is good leaders working with the differing value among the generations.
Some locals got to hear what the new Vikings Stadium will be like straight from a big voice in the planning committee of the new digs. The FM Chamber hosted Michelle Kelm-Helgen, the chair of the Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority, who is leading the planning and designing the new Minnesota Vikings Stadium. Kelm-Helgen talked about the project, like what the facility may look like, how the surrounding area will be impacted, and the various uses for the stadium, before wrapping up with an update on progress of construction.
But the building is actually owned and operated by the state of Minnesota. So I really like to get out around the state and show the progress of the building that really the people own. So the purpose tonight is to just come and share the update of where we're at on construction.
The new stadium is scheduled to host the Super Bowl in February of 2018. And remember to like Valley News Live on Facebook to get all the latest news, weather, and breaking news updates anytime on your feed. Just search Valley News Live, like our page, and you'll stay informed the entire day.
Valley News Live.